Welcome to the Damnation Crossover Part 4. This is Defenders TV Podcast, episode 142, and our spoiler-filled discussion of Doctor Strange number 387.
Hey guys, it's Rod Reyes here, artist of Marvel's Damnation comic book event. Welcome to the podcast crossover between Inner Demons, Sons of the Dragon, Defenders TV Podcast, and Into the Night. Every issue reviewed, all tie-in books discussed. May all be damned.
Hi, this is Ray from Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. You're listening to Defenders TV Podcast right now, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Welcome back, fellow Defenders. Once again, thanks to Rod Ray as the artist for Damnation for his intro for all of us. And also thanks to Ray from Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast, for his intro. Thanks very much for that, Ray.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
And I am one of your other hosts, John. Yes, I am excited. We're back with Doctor Strange with issue 387 of the crossover with Damnation. So yeah, my favourite superhero is back and being, well, maybe not so superhero-y, to be honest.
Yes, we hope you're keeping up with the Damnation event. A couple of comic books coming out almost every week now. We've got 2 each week for the next couple of weeks. And this is the 4th review in the Damnation comic book crossover event. Previous reviews were done by, firstly, Sons of the Dragon, the Immortal Iron Fist podcast, who reviewed Damnation number 1. We did Doctor Strange number 386. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast, joined the crossover with their review of Damnation number 2. And now we're back with our review of Doctor Strange number 387.
Yes, and of course there is the Inner Demons, a Ghost Rider podcast, who will be coming on board soon. And Into the Night will be back next week with part 5 of this event, reviewing Scarlet Spider issue number 15.
Yeah, so lots and lots of podcasts to sink your teeth into for the Doctor Strange Damnation event. Hope you're enjoying it.
Yes, and to celebrate this massive Damnation crossover event, to honour it, we have put all the episodes up on our tab, the Doctor Strange Damnation tab on our website. Just head on over to www.defenderstvpodcast.com. You can check out part 1 done by the Sons of the Dragon, part 2 done by ourselves, and part 3 done by Into the Night. And of course, all the others will be coming soon, including this one. And you can, of course, subscribe to Defenders TV Podcast. You head on over to our website at defenderstvpodcast.com and subscribe through any of the blessed or damned subscribe links. And you can rate us, leave a review, but please subscribe. We're also doing Jessica Jones Season 2, so if you fancy a bit of Marvel Netflix action, then of course you can also listen in to our coverage of Season 2. We are about to release Episode 5 of the podcast in relation to Jessica Jones.
If you're only joining us for the Doctor Strange Damnation podcast and have missed out our last couple of episodes of the Jessica Jones podcast, our review of each of the episodes of Jessica Jones Season 2, you may have missed out on the special offer that we have for all of our fellow Defenders. John, do you want to give some details on it?
Yes, you can head on over to stitcher.com/premium and use our promo code DEFENDERS, and this will grant you a free month to Stitcher Premium to listen to Marvel's first scripted podcast, Wolverine: The Long Night. It stars Richard Armitage, and it was released on the 12th of March. 2 episodes are now already up. Yeah, so please head on over, use our free promo code DEFENDERS in the box when prompted, and enjoy Wolverine: The Long Night. Yeah. It's been a really nice, slow build up. It feels like an investigation. It feels like a detective story, and it's been really, really interesting.
Absolutely. And there's 10 episodes in total in that series. You can obviously listen to all the other content that's on Stitcher Premium as well. But I'd highly recommend these first 2 episodes. You like Marvel, you like podcasts, of course you're going to enjoy Wolverine over there on Stitcher Premium. So stitcher.com/premium and the code DEFENDERS.
And who doesn't like Wolverine? Exactly. But it's certainly a win-win, win-win, win-win situation, I think. On to Doctor Strange and the Damnation event.
Absolutely, and this is obviously a spoiler-filled discussion about Doctor Strange number 387. If you haven't read it, don't listen to the podcast. Go out and pick up a copy of it and come back to us afterwards. Also, it will contain spoilers for the other 3 issues that have come out so far. Damnation number 1, Damnation number 2, and Doctor Strange number 386 as well. So hopefully you've been following up on those events.
Yes, so Derek, what are some of the comic details here? Who wrote it? Who drew it?
These are so much easier than Jessica Jones because obviously this entire event is being done for Doctor Strange Damnation. Anyway, in the Doctor Strange comic books, they're being written by Donny Cates, who's the current writer on Doctor Strange, and the artwork is being done by Nico Henrichon, who did the previous issue, number 386 as well. John, do you want to tell them the synopsis for everything up to this point?
Sure. And again, it's a big thanks to Donny Cates for providing it at the start of issue 387.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Strange is once again the Sorcerer Supreme after a brief period in which Lord of the Lies, Loki, had tricked Stephen into believing Loki was the rightful title holder. For his first act back in the cloak, Strange wanted to redeem himself to the world and the friends he had disappointed. He restored Las Vegas and the citizens who'd lost their lives during Hydra's raid, and inadvertently allowed the manifestation of Mephisto's hellish Hotel Inferno on the Strip. Releasing the demon's power, Mephisto offered to leave if Strange could win a game of Brimstone Blackjack. But Stephen cheated, forfeiting the deal and earning Mephisto's wrath, doled out by the now possessed Thor. And whoa, did Thor deal out a bit of whoop-ass, or ankle whoop-ass.
Yeah.
A bit of hobbling going on, as we described in our last podcast. Where is he? What is he doing? We certainly see him here lying broken, and presumably in a lot of pain as well on the floor in Mephisto's Hotel Inferno.
Absolutely, and at the end of Damnation number 2, we saw Doctor Strange as the Ghost Rider Doctor Strange, which brings us on to our first point. John, incantation number 1, now that we're on Doctor Strange.
Yes.
Previously on Damnation, so we open up the book with Doctor Strange on the floor, as you say, having had his ankles cracked by Thor. And then he gives us a bit of a voiceover as to catch us up on everything up to Damnation number 2. Is this enough for a new reader of the book? If they're just reading Doctor Strange, do you think there's enough in here to cover what happened in Damnation number 2? Or do you think they should read Damnation 2?
I think probably they should read Damnation number 2, as well as Damnation number 1, and of course probably Doctor Strange 386.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being slightly biased here, but yeah, I think it certainly whets the appetite for sure. What is here on the opening page of artwork here, and it kind of really moves into these themes of disappointment of Stephen's friends, disappointment from himself. I mean, we are saying his legs are broken, and I think there's a lot more that's broken about Stephen Strange than just simply his legs. You know, his spirit is broken to an extent, and I think you really do see that here in this opening page. I really, really liked it because you get that self-doubt. You know, he feels he's disappointed his friends, he's disappointed himself even, and, you know, this confident surgeon that we know from his origin story that has built back to being a confident Sorcerer Supreme, member of the Defenders, you know, a member of the Illuminati, the New Avengers, you know, someone really involved in the Marvel Universe. And here there is that sense of brokenness about him. And I love the self-doubt in this opening page where, you know, he says, I should be able to tell you what's wrong with me. I can't. I should be able to fix this. I can't. It's really, really good, him lying on the floor broken. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this opening. Whether it gives you enough for this whole event so far, probably not. But certainly it leads into those aspects of disappointment and maybe shame. I don't know whether that's too much, but, I think he is having a serious amount of self-doubt here about his abilities, and I think him as a person.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to point out as well that this is much more of Donny Cates's version of Doctor Strange, where he's lost all of his friends, he's driven away all of his friends, like Wong, for example, as we see a little bit later on, as we're going to talk about in a moment. He's driven away all of his friends, everybody that's related to him. He is on his own, and he's trying to have this moment where he's showing off the talents that he's gotten back from Loki in the previous issues of the Doctor Strange comics. So this is a broken man now, because he tried to win something. He tried to show everybody how great he is, and it turned out really bad. Hell came back to earth. But he's now lying broken on the floor, having failed in his mission. Almost. He did get Las Vegas back, but
with added extras.
But with added extra dimension.
Yeah, I mean, at least he was trying to do the right thing. Yeah. You cannot fault a trier, I don't think. And in this case, he was trying to do good. He was trying to really build everything back. Unfortunately, he really, really messed up.
He failed.
And we've now got Hotel Inferno and Mephisto on Earth within his domain, and he is absolutely causing all sorts of trouble and strife for the local inhabitants of Las Vegas, as if they didn't have enough already, with it effectively being a revolving door tourist town, and everything that goes with that. Yeah, but certainly I think the good thing that we really get here then is that someone still has faith in him.
Yeah, because that takes us on to incantation number 2. I love this. I like incantations better than case notes, John. I like
it. Is pretty good, isn't it? I must say. I think we should chant after each one or something. Yeah. Maybe that would be a little culty, but it would fit in with the magical, mystical world of Damnation and Doctor Strange.
Maybe, but incantation number 2 is another type of magical mystery Skype phone call from Wong.
Yes, I was thinking of it more as an ethereal contact and chit-chat with Wong rather than some kind of really bad Skype call. At least he didn't pixelate, I would say, on this.
There are moments within this conversation. It starts off with Wong saying to Stephen, "I can't really see you, I can barely hear you," which I think we've all said to our mothers when calling them from abroad.
Absolutely.
At least once on Skype. There's other moments in it when bits of the conversation are dropping. It seems that Stephen can hear all of the important things that Wong's saying, but Wong can't hear any of the important things that Stephen is saying. For example, Wong's telling Stephen, all I need you to do is get up and be standing on your feet when I arrive. Could he have chosen anything worse to say to a man who's just had his ankles broken?
Yes, he's not seeing the whole picture here in his astral projection, I would say. This actually whole sequence I really, really liked. Because you've got Wong coming to the rescue of Stephen. I love these two guys together. They make a great, great partnership. I really like that he was coming to his rescue, or at least telling him that he's built a plan, he's built the team, and he's coming to his rescue. And again, we get a lovely splash page here on pages 4 and 5 with all of these heroes assembling. I really, really love Ghost Rider's burning wheels of his motorbike. You've got the Seal of Ashanti, the window, the iconic window at 177A Bleecker Street there in the center and at the top. And of course, you've got all the team that's there assembling, all the heroes that Wong has built. Ghost Rider, Elsa Bloodstone, Voodoo and Man-Thing, Blade, Moon Knight, and Iron Fist. And of course, we also see Bats as well there, sat around the table with all these. And of course, he is the driver of Wong. He is one that really recognizes Stephen Strange. This is quite light on Bats, and I love this character. But yes, we have bats there as well on this like really, really nice splash page. Some other great bits of artwork, but I love how Wong, is talking to Stephen, and in particular, there's two bits of artwork along this where Stephen's fingers slip through Wong's astral projection as he tries to reach out. Stephen is frustrated that, Wong doesn't quite understand maybe the gravity of the situation. But the other thing that we get to learn is that Wong has chosen his team because they are already damned. There is no soul as such left for Mephisto to really get his hands on. Or if they have lost their soul, it's pretty damaged already. And whether it would be worth even a lowly demon trying to get hold of such a sort of dried, dehydrated soul. He wants a nice, plump, luscious, kind of juicy soul to get his hands onto. And of course, the offering that Wong has given him here is far, far from that.
Yeah, effectively, what's the point in taking the damned soul of these characters if he already has it anyway? They are damned. It's quite interesting because I wouldn't have put these characters together as being the damned heroes, or the Midnight Suns, I think is the name of the team, but I wouldn't have put this team together as being the ones in the Marvel universe that are damned. So I've obviously missed some storyline for characters like Elsa Bloodstone, and for Voodoo and Man-Thing, I don't know why they're damned. Personally, I presume we're going to find that out as we go along through the story. Iron Fist, personally, I don't know which storyline has him being damned in it either. So.
Well, exactly. I think maybe damned or troubled or something along those lines. But yeah, interesting to see Wong's rationale for picking the team that he has done.
But it is Stephen that points out that they're all damned or have lost their souls. So there's definitely, these characters have definitely lost their souls probably quite recently in the books, so there's probably a recent enough storyline for most of them. Ghost Rider, I understand. I'm an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan. I know Ghost Rider from there. I know his storyline pretty well. So I'm very lucky that I've come in with that knowledge of Ghost Rider. So yeah, I think this is quite an interesting point to make sure we call this out at this point, because it probably will come back in quite heavily as we get through the rest of Damnation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, that moment where Wong basically says, next time we will speak face to face, but if there is not a next time, and you're just like, man, because he says, if there isn't a next time, then I just want you to know. And he gets cut off, as we see. And I suppose this is moving into our third incantation, which is the arrival of Clay. And the one thing before we move on to that I love that next slide on page 7 where Wong is dissipating. Again, I think that was awesome. I mean, I was reading this on Comixology, and I was doing the guided view, and I did not get that at all. But when I just went back through the comic, looking at the full page, and then I saw just a fantastic frame of Wong, just his form slowly dissipating as Claire is walking through it. Yeah. So we'll never know what Wong was going to say as well, which I think is important, because the two of them have had a rough ride. Yeah. So was it was great to know you, or was it was great to know you, but, or you were my friend, but, and so on.
Or the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Exactly, yeah. So really kind of interesting, but I love the dissipating Wong. I thought it was an amazing little moment in this comic book, and given what had come before, was fantastic. But I think on with incantation number 3.
Yes, the return of Clay, or Clea. This is definitely one of the characters that I've been reading in many books over the years. She's been in Doctor Strange for decades, and every single time I pronounce her name differently in my own head. She's only been in the 1978 Doctor Strange TV movie, I believe, and she was only in it for a very small amount of time. So I can't even remember how they pronounced it in that movie. She may be in a future movie where we'll get to see her name spoken out loud. She was in an animated film as well, but it does seem to change. Claire or Clee, people tend to have different pronunciations for her, but interesting to see her back. I don't believe she's appeared in any of Donny Cates' run so far, or she's had maybe a panel here and there, but I don't think she's been a major character for quite a while.
No, I'm not aware that she's been in Donny Cates's run, and I'm not sure really that she featured in Jason Aaron's Way of the Weird as well, and that comic series. So it's been a long time since we've seen Clea, but she is back, and she seemingly is here to help Doctor Strange.
And can you just give a bit of a description who the character is, John?
Yeah, so actually she's always been involved with Stephen Strange. She was his wife. They were married. And they met whilst Doctor Strange was in the Dark Dimension. And she was so impressed by his courage in fighting Dormammu that it was kind of a love at first sight thing. And in fact, she was one of the only allies that Stephen Strange had in the Dark Dimension. But talk about Romeo and Juliet, talk about the Montagues and the Capulets and Forbidden Love, because she was the daughter of Umar, who resides in the Dark Dimension. And her uncle was Dormammu. She is his niece. So, yes, to say that they probably weren't too happy that she was going to head off to marry Dr. Stephen Strange is probably the biggest understatement of the time. So there's a nice little bit of interest here, because you would automatically assume that, okay, this is a trap. Don't marry her. And I think there's always been an element of that about Clea because of who her lineage is connected to. Yeah. But she is a princess of the Dark Dimension, and here she is back, probably able to get through Mephisto's damned Hotel Inferno because of who she is, or at least we see at this moment in time.
Yes, yeah.
But it's really nice because ultimately, she is intricately involved with Stephen. They have a lot of shared history. So it's nice to see these two back together. And I mean, really nicely in this, I love how she raises her eyebrows when Zelma is mentioned by Doctor Strange. Yes. Because Wong has kind of indicated previously in his Skype call that, there is someone already in place on the ground. And so Clea walks in, and of course, you're automatically assuming that it is her.
Yeah.
But Doctor Strange is still thinking it could be Zelma. And the mention of that, she gets a little sort of questioning about who this is and, going for the younger type.
Yeah.
And a fairly awkward sort of standoff between the two whilst Doctor Strange is lying broken on the floor.
I love the little gag from Stephen where he goes, why is it that everybody thinks I can't have a platonic relationship with a woman? Just as if I'm in the same room as them, so therefore I have to make a pass at them. Is that what everybody thinks? Which is a gag about Stephen, because that's what he's always been like since the early incarnation of him. But that's the return of Clea, because I was really surprised to see her in the comic book. And yeah, I think it was a good moment to have her in there, because you're kind of going, okay, great, this is his one true ally who is as powerful as Stephen is, or very close to being there with him and hopefully going to join up with him and take on Mephisto. And then she brings in the big guns. So incantation number 4, Loki and Scarlet Witch, the big, heavy magic hitters outside of Stephen Strange in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's brought the cavalry here. I do love the fact that Loki is there, given we had Loki, Sorcerer Supreme. He tricked Doctor Strange into thinking that he was now the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. I
love the interplay between Loki and Strange in these panels. It's just really, really good. He asks the question, how's bats? Which is kind of slightly cruel, really, because he effectively was indirectly responsible for the death of Bats. Yeah. He kind of got Bats so agitated when he put the shield, the magical shield around him and Doctor Strange. He got so agitated, did Bats, that his little heart went. His little heart blew.
Little
exactly. Nonetheless, Loki, seemingly returned him to Stephen as this spectre that we see now, this ghost bats. So maybe it wasn't too bad, but there's some lovely little bit of interplay, some great banter. Stephen goes, "Oh great, Loki's here," because he's just had like a full 3 months of this guy wrecking his head. And Loki also, in response to Clay and Wanda fixing Stephen's legs, goes, "I can break him again if you like." So I love this kind of antagonistic back and forth between these two. And also just on the resetting of Stephen's legs, I think that's another great panel of him screeching in pain as Clea sets his bones again. So yeah,
it's really good fun when she's saying to him that, "I'm just trying to distract you while I reset your legs," but she's telling him, unfortunately, so he gets to feel every moment of that pain.
Yes, and the interesting thing is as well is I kind of thought, is this kind of another slant on Doctor Strange's broken hands, that we're going to see him with broken ankles? Well, yeah, that theory straight out the window. He's all fixed. He's better. We're not going to see Charles Xavier, Doctor Strange sat in a wheelchair or anything. He is seemingly fixed on all of this,
Yeah, fixed. That's an interesting way to bring us on to our final incantation. He is fixed. Incantation number 5, the flip and reveal.
Yes. So things were going so well. And then it all, like everything at the moment in Doctor Strange's life, heads south pretty quickly. Rapidly. Effectively, I love this. I love that Mephisto is using Clea against Strange. It is absolutely lovely, wicked way of using Strange's former love interest and wife against him. And Mephisto relishes in this, except it isn't Clea. It is Captain Marvel. It is Captain Marvel Ghost Rider, the old flamey head herself. And I thought this was really, really cool, actually.
Yeah.
The trick. We're talking about poker. It's in a casino, and we've got the sleight of hand being dealt here to Stephen Strange.
Yeah.
There's a lovely moment where Clea tells Doctor Strange to look into her eyes.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that this was the moment they used, because it's very clear. She's saying to Stephen, "Look into my eyes and tell me whether I'm lying or not." And effectively, the Ghost Rider has the penance stare, which is his major weapon. You see it in Marvel Comics. The description of that from the Marvel Wiki is it's the supernatural ability, incapacitates victims, and is performed by the spirits of vengeance or Ghost Rider. When in close combat, the Ghost Rider will lock eyes with his opponent and induce self-mortification by imposing on him or her every negative action, behavior, and sensation, from sins to the pain of others, that individual has ever committed in their lifetime. So
it's pretty hardcore then,
absolutely.
Really, isn't it?
So effectively, in this scene, what's happened here with Captain Marvel Ghost Rider is that she has forced Doctor Strange to become a demon, to become one of them by using the penance stare.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think, it is. It's the sleight of hand. It's the context of it, And I thought it was really, really fantastic. And I think, again, it's not only that we know that, but Doctor Strange doesn't know this. It is that idea that you mentioned last time of him being absolutely the unreliable narrator in this story. His story is being told by others. He actually doesn't know what's going on in reality.
Exactly.
It is other people telling his story. And here, on page 20 and 21, you have those fantastic 2 panels where he thinks he is fighting alongside the Scarlet Witch and Loki, and previous to that, he believes that Clea has been taken away by one of the demons, and he's there fighting with the remaining 2 rescuers, Scarlet Witch and Loki, yet actually it's all a glamour. It's not that. He is there fighting against the team that Wong has assembled.
Exactly.
It from the last panel of Damnation number 2, you see them fighting the other Avengers who have been turned into Ghost Riders, along with a whole set of demons, and then Doctor Strange kind of floats in with his skull head on fire. And really, at the end of here, we see him fighting that team assembled to rescue him, and he's totally glamoured. I love that contrast with those two. And again, it is that unreliable narrator, like at the start, where he can't tell you what's wrong with him or what he's doing or how he can fix it, and other people are doing it. So it's a really, really kind of unpowered Doctor Strange in a way. You know, it's almost like it's now in his head. He can't get rid of it. But yeah, we have those fantastic bits of art on pages 20 and 21.
Yeah. I love that the guys over at the Moon Knight podcast also called out Doctor Strange being an unreliable narrator. They obviously were listening and mentioned that we called it out. It seems to be quite a big feature of the Damnation comic books right now, because you're getting the voiceover from Doctor Strange in the Doctor Strange books, and he's telling you what's happening. And that's why the reveal at the end of this, that he isn't fighting the demons, he's fighting the heroes that came to save him. That's why the reveal is so good. I read Damnation number 2. I knew that the heroes were up against Doctor Strange, but I was waiting for the big moment when he gets turned into Ghost Rider Doctor Strange, and completely missed the moment because they used Clea. I completely missed the moment that she told him, look into my eyes, and turned him.
Yeah, it was 10 pages earlier, almost. And I really like the fact that Clea hasn't been taken, well, she has, except that is to take her to Mephisto, where we finally get the reveal that she is Captain Marvel. Yeah, and there's a really nice moment, I think, where, again, Doctor Strange thinks that he's fighting alongside his rescuers, but is fighting against the people who are actually there to rescue him. And up from high, because Mephisto and Captain Marvel are watching this kind of tragic event unfold, they say, you don't have any friends, Doctor Strange. But he doesn't know that. But he knows that he's lost friends, or he's disappointed his friends. So again, it's very much a personal note, I think, for Doctor Strange, and it's played out in such a great way with this glamour trick. And yeah, absolutely loved it, because you just didn't see it happening. Or maybe you did, but certainly for me,
I didn't.
Certainly for you, Derek, we completely lost that. And then when we reread it, saw that she had done the Ghost Rider incantation.
So if anybody ever tells you, look into my eyes and tell me if I'm lying or not, you know you're soon to be possessed. The one final thing really about this book for me is I'm wondering if what we get from this issue, from Doctor Strange number 387, the fact that he's possessed and he's now a Ghost Rider, effectively the things that go after demons, and that the people he's fighting, all of the heroes that came in to save him, that they are either damned or have their souls stained in some way. Is that really important in this book? Do we think that means that Doctor Strange will actually kill one of these heroes that were sent in to save him, and that he's able to do that because he's now possessed and his sole purpose is to take out demons, which these guys are in some way? They're damned in some way?
It's difficult to know, really, because, I mean, he presumably can't kill Ghost Rider, because there's 2 Ghost Riders there. A Doctor Strange Ghost Rider with his flaming head, and then obviously Ghost Rider. So that
and
all,
all of the Avengers as well.
So that probably cancels that out. You know, Blade is dead anyway. He's a vampire. Iron Fist has got his chi. Man-Thing is effectively dead as well. Brother Voodoo, it's all to do with death with Brother Voodoo. And I mean, the one aspect that maybe I'm kind of thinking, is it Moon Knight? I mean, I know he's got the spirit of death in him with Khonshu, but I'm just wondering how that will play. Is he the most mortal, possibly, of this group? But I certainly... Wong, most definitely. Bats certainly can't die anymore. He's already dead.
And there is the monster hunter, Liza Bloodstone, as well, as another character in there. I would be surprised if they killed her off in this book. I think it probably needs to be one of the bigger characters. I'm a little bit worried for Ghost Rider since he only has a one-off, one-shot issue as part of this event. I'm a little bit worried about him, I must say, considering a lot of people seem to be getting his powers and a lot of skulls seem to be flaming in this area. So I know you say that it negates each other, but I'm wondering if that means that there's another Ghost Rider coming up behind this version.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they are pitted against Mephisto, Doctor Strange now that he has been turned, and the other Avengers. But I do like Wong's plan. He should have maybe had Ghostbusters on speed dial. They could have come in and sorted it out as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how this progresses with all these different heroes that are damned. And I mean, it's just a great little concept, I think. But certainly, hopefully, Doctor Strange will come to his senses, or someone will bring him to his senses.
Maybe, yeah.
Eventually. And I'm wondering, is it just an attack and grab to bring him out of there, or is it to really put Mephisto in his place as well?
Right.
Because Mephisto is still up on the balcony. He's kind of like, it's almost like Roman emperor watching over the gladiators battle it out. So we can't forget that Mephisto still also has to get his hands a little dirty as well.
Yeah, totally agree. That's our top 5 incantations for Doctor Strange number 387. Anything else you wanted to talk about, John, at all?
Yeah, I really, really enjoy how Nico Henrichon, how he does Doctor Strange's eyes. There are a few moments where his eyes and his face are really up front and center. They're bruised, they're bloody, as Clea is talking to him. I just love the artwork of him there, where he's lying on the floor and Clea is speaking to him. Not only is his outfit like just fantastic looking in that with the cape and everything else. I really, really enjoyed how it's portrayed here. It really looks classical, but not overly so. But I love how his face is just so battered. It's really great artwork. I just really enjoyed it.
Very good. Yeah, I loved some of the artwork with the battle scenes with the big splash pages that he had in there. And there weren't too many splash pages in this book. That seems to be more reserved for Damnation as an event. There's a lot more big pages here. There's a lot of story to get through in the Doctor Strange and the other tie-ins that we've seen so far. The only thing I didn't really like was the character model for Scarlet Witch, and Clea seemed to be taken from her original kind of 60s version and 70s version.
Oh yeah, it was proper classical.
Yeah, and just put into this comic, and I'm not sure whether she fit. But again, you're in a dark dimension or a demon dimension, so everything's up for grabs when you're doing this type of artwork. But I don't know, there was just moments in it where I was it felt like he was doing an impression of the character that he'd seen in other books rather than having his own stamp on it. But maybe it is completely his own stamp, and maybe the reason why she looks right is because it's the classical version of her.
I really liked seeing her in that classical version with her, pick your nose collars, bright and white, her white gloves, her white boots, and that scarlet red outfit. I thought it was really, really good. I think as well, the other really interesting thing here is that, when she walks through Wong and Wong dissipates and she calls out to Stephen and he kind of acknowledges that it's clear. The thing is, in Doctor Strange's mind, the thought bubble, he goes, this isn't real. So again, another hint that it isn't actually clear.
Yeah.
And maybe when he's backed into that corner or all hope is lost, his intuition is actually still pretty spot on, even though he doesn't necessarily think it or doesn't know it at this moment in time. But again, it's another nice little hint. They tell you with Stephen's thought bubble right up front that this isn't real. And wow, Clea really wasn't real. And it was a great little trick here.
Absolutely. John, let's end as we always end. Do you defend this issue of Doctor Strange Damnation, Doctor Strange number 387?
Yes, I do defend this issue of Doctor Strange Damnation, issue number 387. I really thought this was a nice, solid continuation of issue 386, and that is why I'm giving this 4 pokers out of 5. Maybe even poker faces. I think there was absolutely high stakes here, and I loved how the basis of this was the glamour trick by Mephisto, by Captain Marvel, aka Claire, tricking Doctor Strange into not only thinking that he's fighting the enemies, but turning him into a Ghost Rider Doctor Strange by that sleight of hand from Clea as she's fixing his legs. Look into my eyes. And it changes the whole element of this comic, and I absolutely loved it. I love that Clea, even though it was back here.
Yeah.
Really good. Loved Wong talking to Stephen. I love it when these two guys get together, and I think there's some great artwork in there as well. The banter of the writing between Loki and Strange, Clea and Strange were really, really good, and in particular for Wong and Strange as well. Again, I just think really solid movement of Doctor Strange's torturous hell and pain in Hotel Inferno at this moment. So I absolutely defend this comic issue of Doctor Strange. So Derek, do you defend this issue of Doctor Strange number 387?
I do, yeah. This issue did everything it needed to do. It laid out exactly from the beginning what it was going to do. Back in Damnation number 2, the previous book, it said, find out how Doctor Strange becomes possessed. That's exactly what it said, and that's exactly what this book did, and gave a great story with it, brought in some great characters. I liked seeing Loki back in there, even though he's only been gone from Doctor Strange for 3 issues. I liked seeing him back in there because it was kind of a bit of a slap in the face to Doctor Strange almost. It was him going, I'm back now to help you out after you messed up. You've only been in charge for 3 weeks, you know? But
yeah, absolutely.
It felt a little bit like that. But again, yeah, having Clea back, I'll remind me now, Clea rhymes with here, right?
I know.
Got it. But it's really interesting having those characters around him, and then the reveal at the end was really well done, so it will absolutely make me pick up the next issue of Doctor Strange and the next issue of Damnation, as if there was any real doubt. But that's what it had. It had to accomplish that. It had to get you up to date with the old events, give you a good story, and lead you into the next events. It's done exactly that, so I absolutely defend this issue of the Damnation event.
But yes, we'll be on a little break from Doctor Strange for a couple of weeks and from the Damnation crossover event, though, of course, we will be listening in to our fellow podcasters over on Into the Night, Sons of the Dragon, and Inner Demons. But yes, the next issue of Doctor Strange, issue 388, will be released on the 11th of April. So we will be back podcasting wax lyrically about Doctor Strange soon after the 11th of April.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up in the event, as we mentioned earlier on, is part 5, done by Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. They'll be reviewing Scarlet Spider number 15, which just came out this week as well, so that podcast should be up within the next couple of days as well. The event will continue after that with the Ghost Rider podcast, Inner Demons, and the Immortal Iron Fist podcast, Sons of the Dragon. He'll be alternating across some of the other books in the event. If you want any more details about the event itself, as I said, go to our website at defenderstvpodcast.com, click on the Damnation button on the screen, and you'll see a full page which gives you details of who's covering what, when the issues are coming out, and what issues are next. There's a total of 15 comic books across this event, so lots and lots of fun and lots of discussion. We'll be going back to Marvel's Jessica Jones. We are still in our coverage of Marvel Jessica Jones Season 2, which is really, really good as well. Hop on over and hopefully you'll enjoy that. And one other thing to remind you of, you like podcasts, you like Marvel, and Marvel have done their first official podcast with Wolverine the Long Night over on Stitcher. It's exclusively available on Stitcher Premium, and as I mentioned, you can get a free month of Stitcher Premium on Stitcher with our code DEFENDERS. Just go to stitcher.com/premium, type in our code DEFENDERS and subscribe, and you'll get a free month of the service and get to listen to. It's now 2 episodes have already been out, and new episodes are being released every Monday from the 12th of March onwards. So lots of good content on there.
With that, thank you so much for listening as always. Please head on over and subscribe to Defenders TV Podcast over on our website at defenderstvpodcast.com. Share the love, share the podcast, rate and leave a review. All new followers are very, very, very welcome. And of course, we will be back for the Damnation crossover event after the 11th of April with issue number 388 of Doctor Strange.
And as I said, we'll be back with Marvel's Jessica Jones Season 2, Episode 5 on Tuesday the 12th of March. I hope you're enjoying that series. If you haven't watched it all yet, come join us for the rest of our podcasts about that. Thank you so much for being with us, Doctor Strange fans.
Yes, thank you, hoary hosts of Hoggoth. You are absolutely in the right place for all things Doctor Strange. And as always, it has been fantastic speaking with you. I'm off to go and get glamoured.
You were totally going to say hoary hosts of Hogarth there, weren't you?
I was.
Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.
Speak with you next time. Bye.